afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Vanisree, working as an assistant professor in English department. I'm delighted to welcome you all for today's presentation on a topic that affects us all. That is redundancies in English language, streaming communication for clarity and impact. In our everyday communication, we often find ourselves using phrases that contain unnecessary repetition known as redundancies. These linguistic quirks, which common can observe our intended message, making our writing verbose and even undermine our professionalism. Today, we'll dwell into the world of redundancies, exploring what they are, why they occur, and most importantly, how we can identify and eliminate them to enhance the clarity and impact of our communication. So, let's embark on this journey to streamline our language, sharpen our communication skills, and ensure that every word we utter or write serves its purpose effectively. Without further ado, let's delve into the fascinating world of redundancies in English. Let's get started. That is redundant expressions or redundancies. So before going to that, let us know that what is redundant expression. So redundant expression, which is nothing but it refers to the quality of excessiveness, unnecessary and excessively repetitive words. That is, when we use two or more words repeatedly or together at the same time, that is said to be redundancies. For example, adequate, enough. So here we can see that adequate and enough both have the same meaning. So here we can use either adequate or enough in the sentence. Same like as absolutely essential, merge together, actual facts, basic fundamental, true facts, past history. So these are the words where it reflects that two words which we use at the same time in the sentence which is not required. Next, let us know that what are the different types of redundancies. So here we have three types of redundancies. That is, the first one is excessively describing about something, and second is using two or more words or phrases that serve the same purpose, and the third one is repeated words. So now let us go with one by one. What is excessively describing about something? That is excessive description. Excessive description refers to an unnecessary amount or overabundance of description. For example, let us go with one example, that is, he was a young boy, a child. In fact, as a 4 years old kid, he was not yet an adult because he was a child. He played with other children. He didn't have any adult friends because he was not yet an adult. He was 48 months old, which is 12 months more than 36, and 1 year more than 3. He was young at heart and in age. He was not at old, for he was born only 4 years ago. So here we can see that the first sentence, it reflects he was a young boy. A child, again it's a repetitive one. 4 years old kid. Then again, in the second line, it was repeated as he was a child, and as obviously as a child, he plays with other children only, and being a child, he will not have any adult friends because as he's a child, he is not an adult, and as he's a 4 years old kid, so obviously he was 48 months old, that is 12 months more than 36, that is more than a 3. So here, which all are the repeated words, that is a 48 months, 12 months more than 36, 1 year more than 3. So these are all the repetitive words which are unnecessary in the sentence. So simply like we can say that he is a 4 years old. Then next, let us go with the second example, that is the overly ripe apple lay before her. It was dark, brownish red in color. It was not ripe any longer. It was ripe a few days ago, but it was not ripe now. Ripe apples are green or red, but this one was dark brown. The dark brown overly ripe apple, formerly green or red, but not brownish red. So here overall in the paragraph, we can see that the overly ripe apple, the other things are repeated one, that is dark brownish red in color, and it was ripe a few days ago, or green or red, but this was not dark brown. So simply we can say that the apple is overly ripe. Then let us go with the third example, that is, personally I would never be able to do that. Speaking for myself, it's not in my nature. Honestly, for me, it's just not something I'd be comfortable pursuing. Others may think differently about the matter, but I couldn't handle it. That's just me, though my own feelings about it. So overall, when we see the sentence, it simply expresses our own opinions and concerns. So instead of writing this much of paragraph, simply we can write expressing our own opinions or concerns. Now, let us go with the second type, that is using two or more words or phrases. Using two or words or phrases, which refers to using two or more words which perform the same function in a sentence, and two words using in the same sentence, presence is unnecessary one. So let us go with an example to check with. We also need to consider the impact of environmentalism as well. So here we can see in the sentence that also and as well, which performs the same function, that is, they both add to that which came before what's being discussed. So instead of writing these two, that is also and as well, simply like we can write, we need to consider the impact of environmentalism as well. Then second example, however, but one fact he refused to acknowledge is. So here we can see two repeated words, that is however and but. So there is no need of using two words in a sentence which represents the same meaning, so which serves the both things to qualify and add detail to the text. So instead of that, we can write, however, one fact he refused to acknowledge is. Then next example is, although the lawyers did a call to 3 separate witnesses, however. So here in the sentence, we can see that although and however, these two represents the same meaning, which conveys the same meaning. So instead of using these two, which both perform the same function, they both serve to qualify and add detail to the text. So instead of that, we can remove however and we can write, although the lawyers did a call to 3 separate witnesses. Then third type is repeated words. So repeated words and phrases which changes the meaning of the sentence. So let us go like how the repeated words will change. For example, chop chop. Generally, if we use one chop, that means cut into pieces. For example, she chopped the vegetables. If we use 2 chops at a time in a sentence, the meaning get changed. Chop chop means asking someone to hurry up. Chop chop, we are getting late. Now let us go with one more example. That is knock knock. So one knock represents in a sentence means hit the door. For example, he heard a knock at the front door. If he uses 2 knocks in a sentence, the meaning will get changed. 2 times knock means first line of the joke, hear you out or excuse you. Knock knock, hear me out. Then third example, tut tut. So if we uses 1 tut in the sentence, which represents a door sound or other knocking sounds. For example, tut, it's raining, I'm going to get soaked. If we uses 2 tuts at a time in a sentence, which represents annoyed or don't wait to hear disapproval, or it's enough. For example, we all spent a lot of time tut-tutting about Annie and her lifestyle. Now, how we can avoid the redundancies in a paragraph or in a sentence. So let us see some of the tips. The first one is avoid using double negatives in a sentence, and beware of pleonasm, that is using two or more words which convey the same meaning. And be careful when using the abbreviations, and use intensifiers approximately, that is adverbs, adverbial phrases, etc. And then be conscious of language, then remove unnecessary phrases, and always observe the less is more rule. Now let's time for practice. So first one, a total of 14 words. So instead of writing a total of 14 words in a sentence, simply we can write as 14 words. The next is biography of her life. So instead of writing biography of her life, we can write biography, because biography represents only about writing something else about a person's life. The next is in the event that. Instead of writing in the event that, simply we can write if. And summarize briefly, instead of writing summarize briefly, we can write as summarize. And one and the same, instead of that, we can simply write as the same. Then next is he shouted loudly. So instead of writing he shouted loudly, simply we can write as he shouted. Then the enemy was surrounded on all sides. So instead of that, we can simply write as the enemy was surrounded. Surrounded, which only represents all sides. So there is no need to write on all sides. The next, Shoaib practiced French on a daily basis. So Shoaib practiced French daily. So again, there is no need to write French basis. Next, the two entities were merged together to form a big corporation. So here in the sentence, we can see that merged together. Both performs the same function, consists of the same meaning. So instead of that, we can remove together and simply we can write the two entities were merged to form a big corporation. The next is the drawing was absolutely perfect. So simply here we can write as the drawing was perfect instead of writing absolutely. Then next is Vijay's cap was red in color. So already here he is representing Vijay's cap was red. So red represents color only. Then again there is no need to write the color. Next. Now let us go with 8 aspects which reflects the use of learning redundancies. The first one is a clarity and conciseness. So learning to spot and eliminate redundancies helps in making communication clearer and more concise. Then second use is precision in language. Redundancies often stem from colloquial usage or habit rather than a conscious choice. So by paying attention to redundancies, one can develop a better understanding of when and how to use language more precisely. Then third one is avoid wordiness. Redundancies contribute to wordiness, which can detract from the effectiveness of writing or speech. Learning to eliminate unnecessary words improves the flow and impact of communication. Then fourth one is enhancing professionalism. In formal writing or professional communication, avoiding redundancies is important for maintaining a professional tone. So clear, concise language reflects positively on the writer or speaker's professionalism and attention to detail. The next is cultural and regional nuances. Some redundancies may be more common in certain regions or culture. So being aware of these nuances can help in adapting language appropriately for different audiences and contexts. Sixth one is impact on style. Redundancies can also affect the style and tone of writing or speech. By eliminating redundancies, one can create more polished and sophisticated style, which is particularly important in creative writing or persuasive communication. Then next is improve editing skills. So recognizing and eliminating redundancies is a valuable skill in the editing process. It requires careful attention to detail and an understanding of the nuances of language, contributing to overall improvement in writing skills. Then finally, eighth one is encouraging critical thinking. So identifying redundancies which require critical thinking skills, as it involves analyzing the structure and meaning of sentences. Engaging with language in this way foster a deeper understanding of linguistic convention and how they shape communication. Overall, learning from redundancies in English involves developing an awareness of language usage, honing editing skills, striving for clarity and precision in communication, enhance the effectiveness and impact of the language. So finally, I hope that now you're able to know that what is redundancies and when we can use redundancies and how we can eliminate the redundancies in the sentences. So thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.